This season's podcast is sponsored by one of my favourite supplements, Gold Collagen. I've always believed that style isn't just about what we wear, it's about how we feel and how we hold ourselves. And for me, feeling confident really starts with how I look after myself. If we feel good, we look good. That's why I wanted to share a brilliant addition to my daily routine. I've been taking Gold Collagen Forte Ageless for 6 months now, and it's become such an effortless part of my daily routine. I love the simplicity of all my supplements being packed into a little glass bottle that I can slip into my bag and sip at my convenience during the day, and it's truly delicious. I see it as a treat to self. It's packed with 12 grams of hydrolyzed marine collagen and also contains elastin, ceramides, pro-retinol, and lots of other ingredients that your body will thank you for. They all work together as a general wellness supplement to support my skin, hair, nails, from the inside out, as well as my joints and overall energy levels during the day. I noticed a difference within a matter of weeks. For me, great style starts from within. If we feel great, that inner confidence truly shines through. Enjoy 20% off the full Gold Collagen range at goldcollagen.com with code AMANDA20. Today, I'm going on a style journey with the English model, television personality, and serving police constable, the glorious Penny Lancaster. Hello and welcome, Penny.
Hello, Amanda. Thank you so much for inviting me. What a beautiful place you have here.
Oh, thank you. It's so lovely to have you here, because you have just published your book, Someone Like Me, a proper no-holds-barred memoir. Was writing it a really cathartic process?
Much more cathartic than I ever imagined it was going to be. I knew there were going to be hard bits, and in fact, when I got to a certain point where it was very challenging emotionally, I thought, I don't think I've got this in me. What am I doing? Why am I digging so deep and pulling back the layers and exposing myself and feeling vulnerable and feeling pain? Why am I doing this? But then as I kept going, I just thought, you know what? I'm healing from this process. And from my experience of being on Loose Women and doing interviews in the past about certain times and places in my life, I know how much it's resonated with people and the positive feedback that I've got, and people saying, thank you for talking about this. Thank you for, now I feel I'm not so alone. I just kept reminding myself of how much the book, my journey, my lessons can help other people. While it's healing me, it might be able to help others too. Hence, sort of someone like me, because I'm not the only person that's gone through what I've gone through, and others, of course, have gone through much more difficult times. But at the end of the day, we're all partake, don't we, and come across some very difficult, challenging times, and it's how we get through them. And I think by talking and sharing those experiences can be quite transforming.
What was the toughest part of writing the book? What was the toughest memory?
For me, it was during a period of time when my husband had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and we wanted to keep it private. And at the initial stages, we didn't tell family either. So it was quite a burden in a sense to hold on to that, because I had to stay strong for my husband and deal with the doctors and the process. And I also was hiding another, what I felt was a sort of a shameful period of time, a particular subject that I kept close to my heart. And when I was on Loose Women, we were talking about the Me Too movement. And there was a particular article about a young model who had experienced a sexual assault. And live on air, I said, me too. And they were like, oh, so what happened with you, Penny? And I told the story of how at 17, I trusted a particular man that was in the industry that I'd worked with. And being vulnerable at 17, as I was in that industry, he was telling me that he could introduce me to lots of contacts, and because I knew that was the important thing, and join him at an event he was going to that evening. But before we went to that event, we went back to his place because he said he had to pick up some things. And it was in his apartment where he offered me a drink. And then I didn't remember much else until I woke up on his bed face down with him on top of me. So I revealed that only recently on Loose Women, and I hadn't even told my parents. So it was painful writing the book and going through all of the details of that. And the reason I went to so much effort to put the details in there, because I know how many other women have keep those events secret because of the shame and the blame you put on yourself. And now as a police officer, I know how important it is to speak out about any offence of that nature in particular, no matter how insignificant you might feel it is. Because when you build a picture of a type of character, it's amazing how many people will come forward about that same particular predator, and it can build such a much stronger case to move forward for prosecution.
Did you find when you were writing about that incident, did you start to remember even more about it?
Yes, because I think you have to add a bit of colour when you're writing a book, because it's just the written word. I actually went and did the audio version of the book as well, which I found very hard to read that section. And you can tell in my voice as I'm reading it, because it's authentic, because it's, you end up almost going back to that place. So I had to describe it, for the purpose of the book, so that the reader could imagine what it was like. Yeah, and that was really challenging, but it has helped lessen the burden and lessen the fear, and some of the triggers that even in adulthood I still kind of hold on to.
So you've done an audio version, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're dyslexic.
Yes.
How hard was that for you to read, albeit your own words, for an audiobook?
Well, when I was first asked about that as part of the contract with my publishers, Bloomsbury, who were absolutely amazing, I kind of felt sick to my stomach, because that was sort of my kind of one of my worst memories of being at school, was of being asked in English or any particular class to stand up, Penelope. Can you read the next chapter? And because of dyslexia, and because the teachers didn't understand why I had troubles in reading, you were either clever or you were dumb. There wasn't there's another way to learn.
Yeah.
And
that was
intelligence doesn't come from that. It comes from a different place. The heightened embarrassment and the awkwardness, it just sent like fear and horror through me. So when they said, we would like you to read, I thought, go, your entire book for the audio version. And I was like, but you do know I'm dyslexic. Yes, okay, that's fine. You can either read it from your computer digitally, or you could read it from paper. And my physical book that came out along with the audio at the end of September, I actually went to a lot of length in getting a font that's much more easy to read for dyslexics. So for me, I need to have a bigger space in between each word, but I need each letter of the word to be relatively close together, and the spaces between each line to be bigger. So it helps if you're reading, if your vision rather is fading slightly, because it's.
Well, I was about to say, you're talking like this is me, because she says with sort of font 14
Exactly,
on
yeah.
her interview.
So it's sort of good for that, but for dyslexic readers, it's better. And also looking at, say, for instance, comparing a letter H to an N.
Yeah.
I could easily mix those up if the line of the H is not long enough, extended enough to sort of differentiate between the two letters.
So are there particular fonts that are easier for a dyslexic
Yes,
to
there
read? Are there? Which ones are those?
It's written in the back. I can't remember. We went through so many, but as well as the actual font, it was it might be like a unique one
Yeah.
because I talked about how close the letters have to be.
Yeah.
We're back and forth with, I was like, no, that's still not right. And in fact, finally we got there.
And so did you find the recording process not as scary as you thought?
No, I was terrified. I was terrified because I even thought I wouldn't get through the first day, and that they'd have to be realistic and find someone that could read it for me.
But you
But I
got
got
halfway
through
through the first day and you thought, I've got
I
this?
mean, I was very, very nervous, and I found that I was taking extra breaths, and you're swallowing your breath as you're talking. And I was like, not burping, but having this like little repeaty thing going on. And the guy said, oh, that's just one of the things that we find with a lot of readers, because nobody will sit and read for that length of time. And you end up having to take a breath to continue. And so you're swallowing air.
Yeah.
And especially when you're nervous and anxious, you do more of that. And there wasn't one page that I went through where I didn't make a mistake and had to go back to the beginning of that sentence and start again. It was just what it was, and I accepted it, and everyone was supportive around me. And instead of taking 4 days, it took me 5 days.
Well, that's not
But it was worth doing it because I felt it was a true achievement. It probably even more so than at the process of writing.
And I also think there's something about hearing yourself read out loud something you've written it's quite cathartic.
It was kind of odd because when they had to play certain bits back so that I could start recording again after my mistakes, it's that sort of phone voice that, that I often get uncomfortable looking at myself, let alone hearing myself. But I suppose you get used to it after a while. But while I was reading it and in a flow, I felt like I was telling someone else's story. And that resonated again because, as the title, Someone Like Me, it could have easily been someone else's story.
Yeah.
Whether it was reading about someone else's experience of bullying or dyslexia or being assaulted, going through motherhood and giving birth and IVF, and then, the blended family and being a stepmom. This book could actually be someone else's, but it happens to be my story.
God, how inspiring. How inspiring. And you're promoting and doing book festivals and all the rest of it. Are you literally going from one to the next at the moment?
One to the next. Because the thing is, my husband said, darling, you've got to do everything, because when he writes an album, all that work and effort that goes into that, if you're not going to promote it and put it out there and let everybody know it's available, then what, is sort of pointless, really. Yeah. It's all part of the exercise. So when I was invited to be a part of the literary festivals, one more recently in Henley and then soon to be going to Cheltenham, that felt a bit daunting because I was sort of buy books and never get round to reading them, but going to a festival about books just seemed like a real pinch me moment. And there's like 850 people in a room to sit and listen to my story. I'm going to be interviewed in front of a live audience. I suppose I've had some experience with that, but never on this sort of scale. But it's wonderful to know how many people you can connect to and want to hear how you've experienced things through life. And it's wonderful.
How magical. Well, good luck with it all. Now, today we're going on your personal style journey. So let's start with, can you describe what you've got on today?
I've got Veronica Beard jeans, and I've got a lovely stretch, and they're dark denim and quite flared. I've got a pair of shoes that my son bought me when we were in New York. They are the most comfortable. I could climb a mountain in these. Look.
Leather loafers.
I mean, but I don't know what this leather is, but it's just so soft. So yeah, he bought those for me when we were in New York.
Oh, how cool.
I know, how cool.
Do you shop with him?
I do. My 19-year-old, he normally wears my clothes.
I love that.
And my husband's clothes. It's a mix and match.
Love that.
A little dark denim leather jacket. I'm not sure where that's from. And then my little tartan waistcoat.
Is that a Stewart tartan?
It's not a Stewart tartan, but it has a little dash of the blue to, and I like to layer things up, and it's sort of simple but effective,
But chic. And will you change when you get to the festival?
I have an outfit for tomorrow as well.
How do you decide what you're wearing for those appearances?
Well, I often kind of check the weather out. Is it going to be indoors, outdoors? Do I have to walk anywhere? So I've actually got a change of shoes because I would like to wear a heel with this. What's the outfit? I got it the other day in Liberties. I love Liberties. But it's a beautiful pant. It kind of from a distance it looks slightly polka dot, but it's a maroon colour, and then it shifts with the light, so there's sort of a green tint to it.
Oh, nice! So it's sort of shot.
Yeah. Well, you would know.
Yeah. So that means that the weave is one colour one way and another colour the other way.
Okay.
And so it sort of catches the light and you see different colours.
So predominantly it looks like burgundy with this little dot, and then there's that shift of colour with a change of light direction. And so the opposite colour is this silk shirt that goes with it. Yes.
Nice. Now you grew up in Essex?
In Essex, yeah.
Any Essex girl connotations there?
Oh, of course, they all came in. In fact, you kind of most Essex people laugh and go on then, just lay it on me because we're so proud to come from Essex.
Well, it's such a beautiful county, isn't it?
Beautiful
Let's just
county,
get that in there.
and salt of the earth, down to earth people, true to their word.
So earliest fashion memory when you just remember putting something on and thinking, yeah, I'm Penny.
Well, it took a long time because when I was at school, one of the reasons I was picked on was being tall and skinny, which was seen as like, you're different, you stand out, and people didn't like that.
Were you in a school uniform?
I was in school uniform. It was a brown uniform, which is odd because that's my safe colour.
Interesting.
I always go to brown and earthy colours, and I even didn't realise it at the time, but on my publication day, I pretty much wore my school uniform, not literally, but it was a brown skirt and a brown blazer from Max Mara.
How
and when I'm
fascinating.
looking, I'm thinking, that's my uniform. There's a picture in the book here, and it's big because of like I was, assaulted, sexually assaulted on the way to school at the age of 12. And I was wearing my school uniform. That was the brown.
Okay.
I mean, it was a beige shirt and a brown,
But maybe that was you putting that whole thing to bed.
Or owning it.
And owning it, yes,
taking
exactly.
Control. Yeah. It's a weird psychological thing, isn't it? But I was, so I was extremely tall at school, taller than all the girls and the boys. So kind of an oddball.
Did you feel awkward?
Felt very awkward. I used to wear 3 layers of tights to make my legs appear bigger.
Your beautiful, shapely, skinny legs.
Hated them.
Oh no.
And stuffed a bra, I was probably the second from last to get my period, so I never felt comfortable at all. And then when I left school and I started modelling, I was told I wasn't skinny enough.
Oh, talk to me about that for a second.
So it was torture. So I'm too skinny, then I wasn't skinny enough, and then I always felt self-conscious. I was told I was, even when I was married up on a set with a guy, sometimes I'd have to stand him on a book or two so that, because 6'1". Well, when I left school, sort of 5'11". I kept growing, even into my 20s.
Even into your 20s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was 5'11" when I first started modelling at 17, and then I'm 6'1" now. So I just kept going. So if I wore a heel, which predominantly would be put into a pair of huge heels, I would 9 out of 10 be taller than the male model. So I was always made to feel awkward and not like I could fit in anywhere. But then finally I found my niche, and I did lots of sportswear, fitness wear, swimwear, lingerie. And I was like, oh, finally.
And did you sort of bow to the pressure of lose weight?
Yes, I did, for a period of time.
in a healthy way?
No, just trying not to eat very much at all. If I had a salad, I wouldn't put a dressing on it and that kind of thing. And then before a photo shoot, my brother was very much into weight training, and he said, you know what weight trainers do to emphasize their muscles and their vascularity and all of that. They would take salt tablets before a show. So if you take salt tablets before a shoot, it will take all the fluid off the surface of the skin, so you appear even skinnier. So I went to those lengths until I was like passing out with low blood pressure.
But you wouldn't have been alone.
No. But I felt like I was. I thought, well, everyone else seems to be successful and working and happy, but I put on that front.
And so you didn't discuss it with any sort of fellow models?
No, because I thought I'd be found out and I'd be a fraud, because I just wanted people to believe this was who I was, because this is what they wanted. And if they saw that it was a struggle for me to achieve that, then it didn't come naturally. Therefore, we couldn't rely on Penny because it's not, So that was always hiding it.
Yeah. And what was your casting look? What would you wear for running around London on your go-sees?
Yes.
What was your sort of uniform back then?
It probably would have been black. It was like the go-to.
And bodycon?
Yes. Yeah. It would be black tights, black shoes, black boots, short skirt, skinny top, and then with a big coat over the top, just to, for safety, really.
Feel safe, yeah. Cocoon.
Yeah, cocoon, but then I'd be able to strip off and go, oh, okay.
Yeah. And during your time modelling, was there a particular designer or stylist that sort of influenced your personal style?
I never felt I ever had a personal style, because I was never comfortable in my own skin. And being 6'1" and had very broad shoulders from swimming, and narrow hips, I didn't sort of fit any one particular designer. And even now, I find it tricky. The length on my arms and the length of my legs, and I'm very long in the body as well. And so I was constantly critiquing myself. So I never felt like I could dress myself. I left that up to the professionals.
Was it almost a relief to arrive on set and be dressed?
Yes, yeah. But then at the same time, I would often be thinking, oh, what if nothing's going to fit me? Just constantly panicking.
So we spin forward to you are out one night with some girlfriends and you meet your future husband. Tell me about that. What were you wearing that night?
It was a Christmas party, it was the Christmas season, and there was an event that my friend invited me to, and we went for dinner first, and then we ended up in a nightclub at the Dorchester Hotel in London, or Park Lane. Yeah, it's now a Chinese restaurant, and I was dancing with my girlfriends, and then one of my friends was like, "Oh my God, look who's over there!" And we were like, "What?" She said, "Oh, Penny." And it turned to me. I was always the one that pushed at the front, the daredevil. I think it was my height. I'd end up going and getting the drinks at the bar, or, if we were underage, or going to get cinema tickets if we weren't old enough. It was always, so it was like, "Penny, go and get me an autograph." I'm like, "Whose autograph?" She's like, "Rod Stewart's over in the corner." And I'm like, "Rod Stewart." And all I could think was the leopard print trousers. And "Do you think I'm sexy?" And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's that? What am I letting myself in for here? And she said, you got to get an autograph on my daughter. I was like, okay, I'll go and do that. So I sauntered over, and I was in a short black non-bar. I can't remember who it was, but I know it was short and it was tight. And, I know now that Rod is a leg man. So the pins were out.
The pins were up. That's a good thing, isn't it?
And I thought that surely with the pins and a big smile and being very gracious and polite and all of that, how could he say no? And I did, but I didn't know what kind of character this guy was going to be. But sure
Was
enough,
he surrounded by...
he had his band with him.
Right.
Because he was on tour at the time and had a few more shows to go. And so I went over and everyone was like, nudge, nudge, nudge. And I'm sure he got so many girls coming over and saying hi. And I apologised for interrupting and would you mind signing an autograph for my girlfriend? And he said, of course, come and sit down. And he said, so what is it that you do? And I said, well, I'm studying photography. And he's so interesting. He said, would you like the opportunity to come to my show tomorrow and take some pictures?
That's such a good chat-up line.
Isn't it? And I thought, crafty. I thought, like that one. So he'll give your number to my bass player, Carmine, and he'll be in contact with you and give you the details. And I said, fabulous. And here's the signature. He's signed a napkin or a bar mat, or I can't remember what I had now. And utterly charming and a real twinkle in his eye. And then he said to me, are you good at dancing? I was like, oh, I like dancing. He went, I'm going to come and watch. I was like, oh my gosh. So followed me. He went off to the bar and I joined my girlfriends back on the dance floor who were like, did you get the autograph? I'm like, yeah, here's the autograph. But he's over there and he's going to watch us dance. And then in the next minute, he was calling me over to the bar and I went over and my friends were like, go on. And so I sat there and he bought me a drink. And he said, I have to just tell you that going through a bit of a tricky patch. It will be in the newspapers tomorrow, so don't be alarmed. But the news will come out that my wife and I have separated. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't even know his circumstances, whether he was married or not. And
you didn't have a poster of him in your room?
No. and it wasn't my parents' kind of go-to either. So I wasn't that familiar with him. And unlike now with social media and other platforms, like you've only got the news or music from a very small area of like a source of information. And but everyone knew Rod Stewart, the leopard print, and the iconic image. But the man himself was very different to that image. And the next day I called Carmine, the bass player, and he gave me the details to go see the concert. Amazing concert, took the photographs, went back to college the next day and processed those images.
But hang on a tick, what did you wear to the concert?
To the concert, I wore black again, and I covered everything up because I wanted this to be like a professional thing and not well, he'd obviously told me that he'd going through this tough time. Yeah. So I thought to keep it professional, I'm here to take photographs. I might get to meet him again, but I just wanted to give a good impression. And then we didn't actually get to see each other after the show. He did a quick runner afterwards because of all the media and because it was going through a hard time. 9 months later, he calls and leaves a message. So I'm back in town. Can we meet? So talk about what I was going to wear.
So did you look at your phone and go...
Well, it wasn't a phone to look at then. It was a message on my answer phone.
At home on the landline.
On the landline.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And I kept playing it back and thinking, is it him? Because his talking voice is very different to his singing voice and quite sort of cockney in a way. And I was like, someone's playing a joke, but no, it was him. And we ended up going out for dinner with another couple. So there was 4 of us together. And once again, he said, come for dinner. I'd like to see the photographs you took. I thought,
So what did you wear for that dinner?
I wore brown, pleather.
Safe zone.
Yeah, safe zone. Pleather trousers in brown. And I wore a brown roll neck, a jacket, like I buttoned up. There was not one bit of flesh other than my hands, that he could kind of get any impression of anything. And he remembers that very distinctly because he's thinking, what's she afraid of? What's she, completely covered up head to toe. But yeah, I just sort of wanted him to sort of know that there was more to uncover with this one. I wasn't going to let it all out on the first date. But I was engaged to somebody at the time.
Whew. So had you had to sneak out of...
No, I didn't sneak. I told the person I was with.
Were you living together?
We were living together.
Oof.
And we'd already going through a rocky patch, and we'd already split up for a couple of months, and we'd got back together to try to make it work the second time round. And it was still on rocky grounds, but in a relationship where we could be honest with each other. And I said, as I said to him, remember I met this Rod Stewart? Well, he's now got back to me and said he'd like to see the photographs. And he was like, go on, off you go. Very blasé, confident that I would never leave him. But this is Rod Stewart, who's asking you out for a dinner date to look at your photographs. But he didn't seem to care. And after that dinner date, Rod then went on and asked if I wanted to join him in Spain to take some photographs for him. And this was one step up.
Yeah.
And my fiance at the time, similar reaction, sure, off you go. And I actually packed my bags with tears down my cheeks because I knew that relationship was over.
Yeah.
As much as I knew it myself, now I realised he wanted it as well, because why would you
let you go that? Yeah. And what did you put in the bag?
In the bag, well, we were going to Spain, so it was hot, and I went once again with like cardigans and long skirts, and and that
bikinis,
was
sexy lingerie.
No, pajamas.
Penny.
I packed pajamas.
Right. Okay.
And not sexy underwear, like the fleshy type that you wear when you go on modelling. Yeah, nothing like that at all. Because I was like, I'm here to take photographs.
Okay, I've got to hear the next bit of this story.
So that was that. Then while I was still at college, Rod invited me to go to the Bahamas. And this was now I've finished with my ex. Because Rod said to me, look, what are you doing? Don't think about leaving this guy for me. Just think about leaving him for you. It's not a healthy relationship. Like
good advice.
Yeah. So that relationship ended very shortly after that trip to Spain with Rod. Then comes like the single Penny, moved back with parents, invited out to the Bahamas. I'm at photography college at Barking College. I don't know where my future's going to take me. I turn up to the Bahamas. I don't have much money to buy new clothes. I needn't have worried. I arrived at this house that his friend had rented and showed me into this bedroom, opened up the wardrobes, and it was full of clothes for me.
Oh my God.
And shoes. And I'm like, what? How? And I didn't, some might be thinking, isn't that a bit controlling? Isn't that a bit, but actually I think he knew where I was at, and he knew the struggles I'd gone through, because we'd had lots of conversations over the phone in that time leading up to this trip. And he wanted a moment for me to kind of shed all of those insecurities. And there were lots of short skirts and skimpy things. And I had a good figure, and he just like, why are you covering yourself up?
What a gorgeous, thoughtful, generous gift.
And he said, because the trip to Spain, we did one funny fancy dress night where the guys dressed as girls and girls dressed as guys. And so I had all the guys come into my room borrowing my dresses and my shoes. Because
what size are your feet?
Well, I was a 7 then. I'm more like an 8 now. Yeah. one size smaller than my husband. So they were all squeezing into the open toe slingbacky type shoes, just managing that. So Rod knew if he went to a shop, if he tried a shoe on and it was a size too tight, that it would be just perfect for me.
I love it.
And that was my whole
And
wardrobe.
what was your favourite piece that he had chosen for you from that?
I think it was a Robert Cavalli.
I knew you were going to say Cavalli.
Animal print, and I still love animal print. And I remember the first time he took me shopping in London, and we were down Bond Street, and we went into Dolce, and I was in the dressing room, and he just kept passing stuff in, and I'd come out and show that. I went, yes, take that off, give that to the lady. And it was just like this pile of clothes, and I still have these two leather outfits. It was a black leather, short, very short, almost large belt of a skirt with these silver chains hanging off it with a matching leather coat. Then there was a similar outfit in green, a dark green leather, almost snake-looking skirt with a matching leather jacket. Those two, I still have those outfits. Just as a memory.
So, do you love going shopping together?
I don't love so much going because I've after two children go through menopause and what have you, I've put on a lot more weight and stubborn belly fat, and so Rod will still look at me like he looked at me then, which is lovely. And he will go, darling, this is lovely. I'm like, sweetie, I'm not that person. I can't wear that tight outfit because of my belly, and I can't wear that because of, my boobs or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. So I don't enjoy the shopping trips like I used to, because I've gone back to sort of being a bit more self-conscious about what will fit and what won't. I don't care if I have to wear a size 14 or a 16. The number doesn't bother me. It's just proportion-wise, am I going to be able to fit in it? Because I'm that ectomorph, I'm more of a sporty shape. It's not as easy to find things. So I don't enjoy shopping as much as I used to. I like to order stuff in and try it on privately.
And is that your trick, your secret to buy online?
Yeah, buy online, have it all delivered. And Rod's like, what the hell are these boxes doing? Don't worry, darling, it's all going, most of it's coming back.
Do you ever work with a stylist?
No. Because I just always feel like nobody would ever get my size, get my style, I suppose. But then that would be the perfect reason why to get a stylist, because then they'd be able to shop for you. They know exactly, oh, that's not going to work for Penny, but that will. Because I don't particularly like exposing my arms with a wide shoulder strap. I have to go like spaghetti or a halter neck or something like that, which is better for my shoulders. And then I'm long in the body, as because when you go on
a good stylist,
I know they'd be able to pick that out, because when you go on a photo shoot, I try to explain my body type, and 9 out of 10 I take a wardrobe of clothes with me, because there might be a few pieces that work, but then I need to marry that up with something that I've got that I know works. And mix and match it.
And particularly when you're being photographed as Penny the author, it's not like you're Penny the model.
Yes, I want to look like me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you are on Loose Women.
Yeah.
And are there sort of strict wardrobe guidelines there, or can you just wear whatever you want?
You can pretty much wear whatever you like. But there's the telly guideline of the no logos and no stripes because of the plaids and all that, because it strobes on TV. But other than that, they pretty much allow you to wear what you like.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, and there is a stylist there that sort of got used to me and my body type and what I like and don't like. So that's always helpful, because you can't always come up with a million different outfits.
And you did Strictly.
Yeah.
How was that, putting on all of those costumes?
Absolutely incredible. Daunting to begin with, because I'd had my first child and I'd put on weight with the first child, and I felt like I've always had to make excuses for me, for my weight. When I was modelling, even when my figure was at its best, if I would turn up and say, oh, I've got my period, so sorry, my tummy might be a little bit bloated. I mean, my tummy was concaved most of the time, but I still had to feel like I had to make excuses and apologise, because I never felt I was perfect enough. And now I realise there isn't any such thing as perfect, and who gives a damn? But, then it concerned me. So after my first child going on Strictly, I knew there was people of all different shapes and sizes. So it wasn't like we were all models going into this. So but I'd still have to say to the lady, to the fitter, I've put a bit of weight on here, and I've put, because you have to send your size guidelines. And there's no point in fibbing about it.
No, because the tape is the tape.
Yeah. And she said, well, what's fantastic about this first fitting is in a few weeks' time, you will have shrunk, because of the hard work that you have to put in with the dance rehearsals every day and the nerves of being on the show. You will be dropping sizes. I was like, oh, and I did. My last performance, I was on there for 5 weeks, and my last performance, they actually did a cutaway on the dress to show my abs. I got abs back.
God. And are you at peace with your body now?
Not really. Not really. I think my worst time was going through lockdown, when we all sort of fed ourselves and gorged on whatever, and because who cares? But then I kind of went, whoa, what's gone on here? And the menopause hit me at the same time. So I was like in a bit of a spiral, and serious depression came over me, and I kind of lost it a few times, was put on antidepressants, and before I realised it was menopause, and got on HRT. So during that time was probably my kind of where I was freaked out the most. And I went on the very first time on an actual diet where you were having those shakes to supplement real food. But I thought for me, it was all or nothing. And I wasn't going to be able to just cut down my size portions and all this kind of thing. I thought, no, I'm going to have to just kill it and do what I've never said I'll do, and go on an actual diet. It worked. But how realistic was that to be able to keep that going? So then I put the weight back on. I think what really shifted my weight was my second child going through IVF 3 times, where you're pumping yourself with hormones all the time. And I think that really kind of messed my system up. But of course, more than grateful to have gone through anything to have a second child. But to shift the weight on that after that second pregnancy was almost impossible. And I accepted it. I thought, that's fine. I've gone through 2 pregnancies. I've had my second beautiful child. I don't mind if I'm a bigger Penny. And then go through menopause, added to that weight. And now, even though I'm careful with what I eat and I exercise regularly, I can't shift it.
And are you particularly aware of being in the public eye and how cruel the press can be?
I think they've become less cruel. I remember, yeah, they've had to. I think after my first child, I felt pretty torn apart, because I was doing a charity event. It was a netball game, and it was a 4-page in the newspaper, not so hot legs, and there was cellulite. Even on a skinny leg, there was cellulite, and I just thought, that is vicious. I've just had a baby. I'm doing a charitable event, and that's their headline. And I hope that these days they wouldn't be able to ridicule a woman like that anymore. So I think it's nowadays it's a lot more acceptable. But then again, you've got social media, and there's a much more freer avenue of speech on there that's not regulated, and you get members of the public. I remember during lockdown I was doing another charity thing with Rod, and someone commented, and I still remember it today, saying, well, you've got enough money, why don't you get a personal trainer and a nutritionist? Why you shouldn't look overweight? I'm thinking, what? Why are you focusing on a few extra pounds during lockdown when I'm trying to do a good thing and raise awareness for this charity, and that's all you can see? And it just shows you where some people's minds are at.
Yeah.
And for me, it's still like a trigger, and so I still that stuff still kind of hits home.
So what silhouettes are you most comfortable in? What makes you feel the best version of you?
Well, nothing tight. I used to always wear tight. And I go, oh no, it's too tight. No, that's not gonna. So I quite love the style of women in power suits, or wearing trousers that have got like pleats, so it disguises a little belly fat, and that kind of oversized, the baggy. It's not really my husband's favorite turnout. So I do appreciate that he loves me to look more feminine, and he still thinks I'm sexy.
Great. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
So he's like, don't be afraid of being sexy and bigger, I still love you. So that's always nice to hear. So I still get my legs. I still get the legs out
Good girl.
and the cleavage,
But it doesn't all have to be out at the same time,
No,
does it?
no. And I do wear sexy underwear to make myself feel good, from the inside out.
Love that. Love that. Do you have a style icon?
I was feeling very Diane Keaton with the high neck today. I don't often wear high necks because I think a lower neckline gives you that kind of longer look, and I always feel a bit claustrophobic, but this is a loose one. But when I put it on, I with her passing more recently, I mean, she had some style about her, didn't she?
What style?
Gosh.
It was almost like she found her style, her style DNA
Yeah.
early and stuck to it and evolved it, but never really changed it. And I think that's the definition of true style, actually.
Well, like my husband, I mean, his style is iconic.
Totally. Do you share his passion for leopard print or animal print?
I love animal print, absolutely, because it's all that tonal, those soft tonal browny colours. And if you're going to go for a pattern, but he will mix a tartan with an animal print, with some lace, with some leather, like he mixes it all up. And because he's colourblind.
Is he?
Yeah, that's why he wears all those clashes of colours. But when he says to me, darling, does this go with that? And I'm like, well, it does on you.
Yeah.
And he's never been afraid to wear a bit of chiffon or silk, or he's quite androgynous and feminine in his style as well.
He was very early days to this sort of androgynous, metrosexual dressing, wasn't he?
And not afraid of his sexuality. It's very masculine, sex appeal and all of that, but not afraid to kind of camp it up, I suppose, and be flamboyant and just be expressive. Yeah. My eldest son is definitely going down that route. He played safe for so long, probably up until he was about 16 or 17. And in the last few years, he's thrown the rule book out, what a man's supposed to look like or wear or what have you. And so he wears my stuff and Rod's stuff. He mixes up the colours and the prints. And he's painting his nails and he's not afraid.
So do both sons nick from your wardrobe, or?
Just the 19-year-old. He's 6'5", gorgeous, and he's grown his hair very long, and he's larger than life character. He's always smiling, and when he walks in a room, he's stepped in a room. I mean, we were at Glastonbury. And I was looking around for him because, everyone gets lost, don't they? Well, it's very hard to lose me and him in a crowd because of our heights, but he has this energy and presence and flamboyance about him. So he comes, I see him from a distance heading towards me with these wide strides and this coat flapping that I recognise immediately.
It's yours.
It's mine.
Wonderful. Had he told you he was borrowing?
No. McCartney, Stella McCartney at Glastonbury.
Okay.
So when we were backstage with Dad, I managed to retrieve that coat before it got ruined. But yeah, I mean, there was a full-length leopard print McCartney flapping in the wind, and he had like this hat on and his wide flared jeans, looking amazing.
I was going to say, but secretly there was a proud mum. Oh my God.
There he is.
Fabulous. Oh, I love that.
So he's not afraid. Whereas my 14-year-old is a typical 14-year-old. They all want to look the same.
But
It's
do
like
you
a
ever look
uniform.
do you ever look at the 19-year-old and see him styled up and think, God, that coat actually looks better on you than it ever did on me?
I know. Well, the Dries Van Noten.
Dries Van Noten.
Yes, that one. Thank you. Trousers that I got the other day from Liberties. I put them on and all I could think was, oh, well, Alistair's going to have these. He'll go, oh, that's nice, Mum. And yeah, that would be disappearing anytime soon. In fact, Rod often says, half my wardrobe's in my son's wardrobe now. So I go looking for things. We just go looking in Alistair's closet because there they are.
Now, if you were to ask Rod to sum up your style DNA in 3 words, what do you think those 3 words would be?
Sexy hot legs.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my God.
Who's there knocking on my door? It's like, Rod had a musical on stage in London, and the gala opening night was money to raise for the RNIB. And Rod had this wonderful idea that Penny Lancaster, my girlfriend, will perform on that night. But I had to audition in front of Ben Elton and Phil McIntyre, but I got the part, and I came on stage performing Hot Legs.
Great.
Dancing and singing Hot Legs.
Great. What would you wear? What were you wearing for that?
It was a very, very extremely short number.
Funny that.
Yeah. It had these red rose prints on it, and then a black little ruffle thing with just almost like Dolce bra strap thing going on.
Chosen this.
He had picked it out, yes. It was stretchy and tight and short.
Stretchy and sexy.
Stretchy and sexy. It was a sexy hot leg outfit.
I love that. Would you say you've had a worst fashion moment?
Oh my gosh, I've had lots of bad fashion moments.
Any particular ones that sort of stick in your brain and think, oh God, why did I do it?
Not one in particular. Lots of ones.
Now, you've talked about you struggled with your weight during menopause and post IVF. What's your approach now to sort of fitness and exercise?
Well, now in my 50s, we all know that we get to a stage where our bones can become more brittle because of osteoporosis. And I think that's exacerbated by having children, because your baby inside will always be okay because it will take from you.
Sucks it up.
Yeah. And also we get a depletion of muscle. So we're almost fighting against the tide. Women always are afraid of weight-bearing exercises because they think they're going to bulk up. They're not going to bulk up. So weight-bearing exercise is the definite. You have to do that to lay down calcium in your bones and to combat the loss of muscle as you get older. So I do 3 times a week weight-bearing exercises.
Good for you. Good for you. Let's spin on to your approach to sustainable fashion.
So I'm a bit of a hoarder. So I do hold on to sort of what I see as, for me, iconic outfits that I wore at a special occasion. So I kind of store those up in a memory bank. But what I do every so often do with my friends is I have a penny row. And so my friends will come round and we'll have this kind of like coffee, cake kind of afternoon, and everyone goes through my rows of stuff that I know I'm never going to wear again. And they each put money in a pot for it, or I give it away to charity, to the British Heart Foundation. You can box anything up and they'll come and take it for you. and you know it's going to go to a better home, you know, and be loved again.
Yeah.
So that kind of
And
thing.
any of Rod's stuff goes that way, or all of his stuff is archived?
Some of Rod's stuff goes to charity. He signs it, whether it's suits or shoes, because that does raise a lot of money for charity. But my boy Alistair has found some of his 80s suits that he wears now. In fact, I wore one of Rod's 80s suits on Lorraine the other day.
I bet it was great.
It was Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Oh, fantastic.
Beautiful, very quite thin, transparent, like a crepe, almost in a dark maroon with this very, very fine pinstripe, cream pinstripe. Amazing. Fits me and my son like beautifully, because in the 80s they used to puddle with material on the floor, and now they fit for us taller people perfectly.
Let's spin on to some quickfire questions. What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't follow the crowd.
Fashion trend you would most like to see make a comeback?
I love a big shoulder pad. They come in and out, don't they? And leopard print, that never goes out of style.
Never goes out. Fashion or beauty trend you would consign to room 101?
Those crazy eyebrows.
You'd be amazed how many people say that. Your last impulse buy?
Not that impulsive. I really do think about, yeah.
Then your views on tattoos? She's stripping.
This one I got a couple of years ago. Very, very fine line and two swallows, sort of representative of my two sons that will fly the nest, but will always come back, and they're forever brothers.
Oh, how beautiful. Love that. Grooming or well-being treatment you couldn't give up?
I love to indulge in a bath, with some really creamy bubble bath or salts, burning a candle, and occasionally indulging in a glass of wine.
In said bath?
In said bath.
And are you bathing alone?
Bathing alone, yeah. Yeah.
High maintenance, low maintenance?
Low.
High end or high street?
Mix and match.
Crocs, cute or puke?
Oh, no.
Sports luxe or rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cashmere.
Trend or style?
Style.
Colour or monochrome?
Monochrome.
Pattern or plain?
Plain.
Hoarder or editor?
Oh my God, hoarder. Oh, Jesus.
Charity shop or resale?
Resale.
Shapewear or lingerie?
Lingerie.
Tights, stockings or hold-ups?
Hold-ups.
Bikini or one-piece?
Bikini.
And finally, traditional last question at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
I normally sleep with my moisturiser on.
Penny, thank you so much.
Thank
what
you.
a lovely,
It's been
lovely
really,
conversation.
really lovely chat. Really, really nice.
Really enjoyed that. Thank you for coming.